Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Drew, we have no volume for you, buddy. You want to try that again and unmute yourself?
Welcome into the NFL opening line report, preseason NFL week number 1. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. We're breaking it down each and every game here for the week 1 slate. Teddy, a little bit of a jacked up start, but hey, we're ready to rock right now, man. Throw it over to you. How you feeling this morning, buddy?
I'm excited. I just posted NFL for Thursday, and we'll probably have some more plays before the day is done. The info's coming out. The lines are moving as we speak. It's classic Monday morning opening line report style. Today we're going to go through all 16 games, talk about where the market's open, where they're moving, where they're likely to move between now and kickoff. And of course, Drew, we always have questions from the audience. You have a couple from last week. Did you want to start the show with that, or should we get right into the Thursday night?
No, let's get into the games. We do appreciate the questions from last week's show in the reply section below. Feel free to fire away this week as well. We'll answer them on next week's show. Love the interaction with all of you guys. Ronnie, 619, Anthony, Daniel, everybody that chimed in, everybody that liked the show last week. So, Teddy, let's get into it. 7 o'clock Eastern, 105, 106, kicking us off here Thursday, August 11th. We get the New York Giants and the New England Patriots. Looking at the WagerTalk odds screen right now, looks like -1.5. That's the Giants as the favorite. DraftKings Westgate showing -2. 34 being the total almost across the board. There is an offshore showing 33.5, but we can call it a consensus. 34 is the total, -1.5. That's the Giants as the road favorite. What are we thinking Giants and Patriots Thursday night, Teddy?
So I'm a big fan of the WagerTalk live odds screen. All right. Nothing but positive things to say about it. Obviously, it's 100% free. It's something that I have up running all day long, pretty much every day. But it is definitely worth noting when it comes to openers that have been around all summer, sometimes the WagerTalk live odds screen, when it comes to the openers, isn't giving you the full story because it doesn't have all the openers. One thing I do is I track openers from a bunch of books. So I'm going to give you some numbers that may not mesh with the WagerTalk openers on the live odds screen because I'm tracking multiple books in that regard. And of course, we're talking preseason. I mean, we've had numbers since May and June and throughout the course of July. So if a book opened in May, they're going to have a different opener than if they open in June than if they open in July because they're going to open with the current market number. So I'll do my best to talk about where I saw the market open and where the lines have moved as we speak. Obviously, looking at where the current lines are, no arguments whatsoever with the WagerTalk live on screen. It's a really good product. So this one opened over the summer with the Patriots -2, and the total, call it about 34. So total hasn't done a whole lot, but the favorite has switched from the Pats to the Giants, and that has come, the quote's right here, Brian Daboll, first-year head coach for the G-Men. Quote, I anticipate all our guys playing on Thursday. Everyone's in new offensive and defensive systems here. I think it's important to play football, to have live reps. How many reps it's going to be, I'm not going to tell you. I think it's going to be less and more in each game plan going into it, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is this isn't a Joe Judge Giants offense. I mean, Judge, Saquon Barkley has played one preseason game in his 4-year career. Last year, Golladay didn't suit up. Tony didn't suit up. None of the starters. A year where both these guys were plagued by injury. And, of course, the Giants, 5 years in a row, have started 0-2. All right. They're 7-30 in September and October, straight up during that span under 3 different coaches. The Bills, They had a 5-2 record each of the last 3 years under DePaul as offensive coordinator. So by the end of October. So here's another quote. There's more sports science. There's more analytics involved. I'd say I learned a lot from my time in Buffalo, where they've gotten off to historically fast starts. Very healthy roster. Coach McDermott does a great job of getting them ready to go early. And at the end of the day, it's about the players performing under pressure and making the plays they need. Clearly, the Giants are taking the preseason opener seriously. Don't have official quarterback rotation. All we have is the guys on the roster. That's Daniel Jones. Tyrod Taylor's the guy we like as a second stringer. Davis Webb is the guy we like as a third stringer. We're not talking about untested rookies coming in behind the G-men starters, hence all the Giants' money. For New England, Mac Jones, Brian Hoyer, the rookie out of Western Kentucky. Belichick, looking for Belichick quotes, good luck. You do preseason after preseason. I got nothing from Bill Belichick in terms of playing time, in terms of game plan, any of that. It is worth noting the last 3 week ones for Bill Belichick. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread, all 3 victories coming by more than a touchdown.
Teddy, bringing the heat on the first game. We got 7:30 Eastern for the second game on Thursday. There's only 2 games Thursday. We got, 5 on Friday and then a bunch on Saturday. Next one up, Teddy, 107, 108, the rotation number 7:30 Eastern kick here. We get Tennessee and Baltimore. Of course, the Ravens, that winning streak in NFL preseason, guys. If you haven't heard about it, Teddy will touch on it now. -4. We get the Ravens as the home favorite, Teddy. Low total, 31.5, depending where we're shopping. What are we thinking Titans and Ravens in the nightcap Thursday night?
Yeah, and it's definitely worth noting. In terms of the Thursday and Friday games, I got a bunch of info. In terms of the Saturday and Sunday games, not so much info. It's not out yet. I'm expecting we're going to see a whole bunch today. Maybe even this morning after I get off air, we'll be able to find some more for the Friday and Saturday games. But we're going to go heavily into the first 7 games on the card and then do a little bit quick hitters on the back 9. But, this one stands out. I talked about earlier on WagerTalk today. We all know John Harbaugh's track record in August. It's no surprise. It's nothing new. 20-0 straight up. They call it 17-2-1 ATS, 18-1-1 ATS, 18-2 ATS. He's been a monster in the preseason for many years. And when you won 20 preseason games in a row, you better have a real good excuse to step in front of the Baltimore Ravens, which we might have this year, quite frankly. All the talk about Baltimore. Baltimore's been a guy, Harbaugh's been a guy who's played his starters a lot in August. Listen to this quote. And remember, the Baltimore Ravens finished last year. They had 25 guys on injured reserve. They were as injured as any team in the league. They lost their last 6 regular season games, and injuries were the key factor in the Raven. Well, that and missed 2-point conversions in their collapse down the stretch and missing the postseason. Here's Harbaugh's quote. And again, with all this stuff, we want to be reading between the lines. Quote, yes, we won't be playing Lamar. I think you can kind of extrapolate who will play and who won't. There will be decisions some guys that they haven't completely made yet. Lamar Jackson's not going to play. Mark Andrews is going to play. Marlon Humphrey, all the starters. There's a whole bunch of starters that aren't going to play in this game for Baltimore. And after how many injuries they suffered last year, it makes a ton of sense. All right, Tyler Huntley likely to take a whole bunch of snaps under center. And Huntley's a guy we like because he can make plays with his feet as well as his arm. But he's playing behind pretty much exclusively second and third stringers. It's not necessarily a bet on QB rotation. And Anthony Brown, the kid out of Boston College, could get plenty of playing time in the second half of this ballgame for Baltimore. That's not bet on. All right. Last year, they won 17-14 in their preseason opener. They won and covered. They win by a field goal this year. They're not covering. Everybody's talking about Harbaugh at 20-0. All right. Think about all these games during this span. 17-16 versus the Bears in 2018 in their opener. They wouldn't cover that. 20-19 over the Colts, 13-9 over the Bills, 14-13 over the Saints. These are all recent preseason results. Where at the current point spread, with all the hype attached to Baltimore, they wouldn't be covering. So I understand they've done really well in years past. You better have a good reason to bet against Baltimore. But here, there's a big price with them. The QB rotation isn't what it was, and the Ravens are very concerned about injuries. Meanwhile, look at the Titans. They went 2-1 in preseason action last year, 2-2 in 2019. They won the opener both times by 17+. You have Logan Woodside expected to get plenty of PT in the second half. He could be a bet on QB. And the reports out of Malik Willis. Titans coach Mike Vrabel said he's going to try to make things, quote, as hard as possible for Willis in camp. He's had a rough go of it, but he's facing real competition. I think he might have a good game. And Willis is a guy who can make plays with his feet. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee hangs within this number. Baltimore is certainly a team. Again, this number got bet all the way up to 5 from the 2.5 opener. Now it's getting bet back. And the sharp books are the ones at 3.5. The public books are the ones at 4. Everyone's talking about this Ravens long-term track record. But if you look at the nuances for this matchup, Harbaugh set the all-time record all-time for preseason wins with his 20th straight win last year. I'm not convinced he gets to 21. And if he does, I'm not convinced it comes by margin.
Teddy covers at Teddy_covers on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts. Check us out at WagerTalk.com. WagerTalk live odds screen. We're heading down to the Friday kickoff here. Happy hour special, 6 o'clock Eastern, Teddy. Next game up, 109-110, Atlanta Falcons, Detroit Lions. We're seeing the Falcons -2, mostly actually -2 in the hooks now as the road favorite, 33 being the total. Looks like win hanging a 34. So we get the Falcons at the Lions, Teddy, kicking us off Friday action. -2, -2.5, 33 being the total. What are we thinking here, Falcons and Lions?
Yeah, the money has come pretty heavily for Atlanta in this ballgame. There were 2.5s and 3s for Detroit at the open. Now, obviously, we've seen a switch of favorites with the Falcons laying 2.5 on the road. You say, what are you talking about? The Falcons are 1-14 straight up in their last 15 preseason games. Arthur Smith guy, they got bombed in every game last year in the preseason. Well, I got some quotes for you. Okay. Here's the headline. Quote, Falcons confirm all healthy players will get on field in preseason. Underneath the headline, the sub-headline, Arthur Smith will reverse last year's rest for key starters. All right. Quote, Arthur Smith, Falcons head coach. Yes, my approach will certainly change this year. I'm going to go a little more old school. We got to get ready to play. We got to get ready to go from the jump. Is that the reason we lost the first 2 games in the regular season last year? No, but it certainly didn't help. All right. I promise you, if everyone is healthy, they will play. That's a bet on quote, guys. And it's certainly a bet on quote when you're talking about that has something to prove in the month of August, which Atlanta may well do. You have a head coach on the hot seat. I don't know if it's on the hot seat yet. But it's not. And it's not one of these situations where you're like, oh, Atlanta clearly laying down the way they did a year ago. The Falcons QB rotation, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Felipe Franks, which isn't necessarily a QB rotation that everyone's excited about. And that being said, Mariota's got to look good. And Ridder and Franks, again, 2 guys that have the potential to make broken plays, which is what you need for a QB in the half of these ball games. And when you look at the Atlanta, now there is a concern for Atlanta. Offensive line, very much in flux right now. Quote, you're balancing 2 things, right? You're getting ready to play a preseason game, managing whatever kind of strategy you want, how many reps for everyone. But you're still trying to work on your own team and have some training. So there could be some concerns here for the Falcons on the offensive line, which is not a concern for Detroit. The offensive line isn't great on paper and has looked great so far in camp. So that's certainly a positive sign for the Lions. And again, it's not like the Lions have taken any money in this game. All the money's come on the other side. Still, when you look at Detroit, this isn't a team that you want to necessarily be betting against in August. Simply when you look at the QB rotation, you have Goff and then 2 veterans who have started games behind him, Tim Boyle and David Blow. Those are guys we like in the second half of NFL preseason.
Huge shout out to the chat box, guys, as we're going down NFL opening line report style each and every game here on the NFL X Week 1 slate. Paul Blakeney checking in from Essex, England. Welcome in, Paul. We got James Hines from Mongolia. Hello, James Hines. Maybe good afternoon to you. Not really sure. Michael Campbell in the house as well. Coin, Steven, Rance, all you guys. Thanks for checking in. Let us know in the chat box where you're watching from, what you're looking to bet here as we move down the list. 111, 112, Cleveland and Jacksonville, Teddy, seeing a total of 33 and -1.5. That's the Jags as the home favorite. Of course, their second game here, 7 o'clock Eastern time, -1.5 across the board, 33 across the board. What are we thinking Browns and Jags, Teddy?
I'm thinking I want to take an under bet on how many viewers and listeners we have from Mongolia. Under 1.5. That's what I'm thinking. All right, Browns and the Jaguars. So these are two teams that I haven't gotten squat in terms of coaches' quotes just yet. But situationally, this really sets up well for Jacksonville. Now, I'm not willing to make a bet in the preseason based just on situation. I need some kind of coach's quote that tells me something about what the team's game plan is going to be or what the QB rotation is going to be or anything like that. But the Cleveland Browns quarterback room is in flux, all right? They had 0 snaps from anyone who played with the team last year. You're going to prep Deshaun Watson? You're going to prep Jacoby Brissett? Who do you want going to be a quarterback? Is Josh Dobbs and Josh Rosen going to get ample playing time here? And again, Dobbs and Rosen are guys who have started NFL games. Rosen in particular is not a guy I trust to make plays with his feet in the second half of a preseason game, especially when he just got there. So Cleveland's very much in flux. Jacksonville played a pretty awful game last week. And the quotes coming from Peterson afterwards made me a little bit concerned about whether they're going to play an equally awful game this week because I didn't get that sense of urgency from Peterson. Sometimes you have a team take a bad preseason loss. They return home the next week, and you're getting these coaches' quotes like, hey, we're going to play a whole lot better. We need to do something. These guys got to show me something, et cetera, et cetera. Haven't gotten that sense from Peterson yet. He's a guy with a strong track record in the preseason at Philadelphia. But so far, all I've heard from Peterson is we want to test our depth. So that's a concern here. Although Cleveland, very much on paper, a bet against team in August. I'm not convinced that the Browns. I've got a lot of concerns about the Browns at this time of the year, given the question marks surrounding that quarterback.
Teddy, moving down the list, we get the New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles up next, 7:30 Eastern start, 113, 114, the rotation number, seeing another game. Pretty much consensus across the board, -1.5. That's the Jets as the favorite. And actually, we're getting some movement here. It's lighted up on the odds screen, red and yellow. So we got actually one -1, as high as -2 in the hook out there available. 35.5 being the total. Jets, Eagles, some movement here line-wise, Teddy.
So moving first thing this morning, and this is a game that moved one way and is now moving back the other way, because the Jets opened back, over the summer. They were 1.5-point dogs at Philadelphia. The Jets took a ton of money and moved all to 3. It sat there at 3 for weeks, and if we'd have done this show an hour ago, it would have been 3 still. That's not the case right now. The money is pouring in on Philadelphia as we speak. The 3s are gone. The 2.5s are gone. The 2s are going. It's mostly 1.5s out there. I'm even seeing a prominent 1 in terms of leading indicator books on the WagerTalk live odds screen. So we are seeing a fair bit of Eagles money so far today after we saw a whole bunch of Jets money earlier. And let me make this clear. For a preseason game to move, it doesn't take that much money. Regular season games are going to take more. Preseason games, when they see the money start to flow in, boom, it's moving a point. Another bet comes, I'll move it another point, and it can move very quickly on less money than you see in the regular season. So it is worth noting that, when the sharp money comes in August, the books react quickly and significantly. When it comes to the playmakers on the field, look, Robert Saleh came out and said, quote, Joe Flacco is a starting quarterback in this league. He's really, really talented. I watched Joe Flacco for the last 5 years. Okay, and Joe Flacco's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. And if Saleh's saying that, I've got concerns about his judgment. He's talking, we're so fortunate to have him that he's not the typical backup quarterback. He should be, in my opinion. He could start in this league. I believe it. Sometimes the league has a tendency to pigeonhole people or put labels on people, and then their opportunities get limited. Flacco expected to get ample playing time in this one. And the third stringer, Mike White, another guy who can make plays with his feet, another guy who started at the NFL levels, likely to get, he's in his 4th year here. And when the third stringers are familiar with the offense, that tends to be a positive sign. Sirianni went 0-2-1 straight up in his first preseason. He talks a lot about how he's not a fan of physical practices. He talks a lot about analytics. Jalen Hurts, only 7 snaps last year. I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of reps. But Gardner Minshew may get a whole bunch of reps in this one. And Minshew, certainly a quarterback that I have no problems putting my money on. Again, I don't know exactly why the money came on Philly this morning. Usually when I come on the show, I'm going to be able to tell you exactly why the money came where it is. I didn't see the quotes right before it moved, but I think it may have something to do with Minshew's potential playing time and or who the Jets are going to throw out there in the second half. Nonetheless, two-way action on this one. It got bet up. Now it's getting bet back down.
Like that Flacco quote, Teddy. That was a funny one. I saw that as well. As we move down the list, guys, 115,
I got
116. Yeah.
Sorry, Drew. Give me one more second with this one because
Sure.
Last night, okay. The issue with Philly, all right, and note what the totals do. All right, everything's 33, 33, 33, 34. This one's at 35.5. Sirianni, okay, I should have scrolled down to my notes long. Sirianni's talking about playing with pace in the opener. Quote, it gives you an opportunity just to get even more plays run, right? We stay right on course with our walkthroughs there as far as we are in the process of the install because you can get a lot of plays and a lot of plays run and a lot of plays repped. That doesn't happen unless there's extreme focus and detail, a tribute to the players. They know how important it is. Your full speed to the snap in walkthrough. So if Philly plays with speed and with tempo, that tends to be a bet-on situation in August. The other team not prepped for it and not in condition for it. So that may be why we're seeing Eagles buyback in early betting action today. And it's certainly why we're seeing over money for this ball.
Sure. Yeah. Open 33. We're seeing it as high as 36 now with mostly 35.5 on that total. We got next game up, Arizona and Cincinnati, Teddy, 7:30 Eastern kick, 115, 116, 33.5 or 34 being the total. We're seeing Cincinnati Super Bowl losers, Teddy, which I know regular season wise, you had a lot on that, but -1.5 favorites for this game. Cardinals and Bengals -1.5. That's Cincinnati as the short home favorite.
Yeah, this line hasn't done anything. And I don't think it's going to, based on the info I found, it's still not going to do anything. Okay. This line, I mean, literally, this line has barely moved. All right. Kyler Murray tested positive for COVID. I don't think he's going to play. Colt McCoy's out as well. So this past couple of days have been Trace McSorley as the number 1 for Arizona, Jarek Guarantano the number 2 at QB for Arizona. Now they are talking about playing with tempo as well. You know, are they going to play super fast or kind of fast? We don't know. There's an injury bug in Arizona. Quote the headline again. The injury bug won't leave the Arizona Cardinals alone. You know, we got multiple starters hurt. We got a bunch of backups hurt for Arizona, and those aren't bet-on situations. That being said, I'm not seeing anything for Cincinnati that's exciting either. The Bengals are interested in, Joe Burrow obviously had his appendectomy. He's not going to go. Brandon Allen's going to get the start here for Cincy. And again, a guy who's had some starting experience, but not a guy who I'm excited about. And then I think there'll be a whole lot of Jake Browning after that. I don't have that official, but Jake Browning's not a guy I want my money on in an NFL game. So you can understand why there's been a dearth of betting action on this one. Neither side taking money.
In the nightcap for Friday night, guys, we get the Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific kick, 33 to 33.5, 32.5, depending where we're shopping here, Teddy. The total, we're seeing the 49ers -1 or -1.5 home favorites. Packers, 49ers in the nightcap Friday night, Teddy.
Yeah, and this one opened as high as 3. It opened as low as Pick'em. It's sitting at 1.5 right now. So over the course of the summer, again, we've seen this bounce around. It's all been San Fran as short favorites throughout. We've seen a little bit of under money in this one. I'm not convinced I agree with that under money. You know, when you look, and I haven't gotten good info yet on who San Fran is actually going to put out there this week. But the QB rotate, don't know if Jimmy G is going to get any playing time. I can't think he will. But even the Nate Sudfelds and Brock Purdy's of the world, these are guys who started games for the 49ers last year. And, of course, Trey Lance is a guy, A, needs to get work in, and B, a guy they want and need to look good. But the reports out of 49ers camp have been, up and down on Trey Lance. One day he's got a great practice, the next day he's got a terrible practice. They've got some injury issues as well. And one note here for Green Bay, and this one stood out to me. Again, I'm always looking, just give me the little things, find me some little detail that the markets may not be paying attention to. And no, we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers in this game. I don't think it's going to be a lot of Jordan Love for the Pack, maybe some Danny Etling as well in the second half. But the Packers' offensive line has been practicing as a unit. They've got a one unit with Neiman and Runyon and Myers and Hanson and Newman, and the other unit with Tom and Runyon and Myers and Newman and Neiman. So it's one of these situations where if you have the two groups of linemen that have been comfortable practicing with each other and they're going on the field like that, it may give them something of an edge in a game where there's no edge otherwise. So if the Packers' offensive lines, when you talk about these third-string offensive lines in the second half, if there's any cohesiveness on that unit, that becomes a bet-on team. Green Bay has that potential for this ball game. The quotes on Jordan Love here in August, Matt LaFleur, quote, Jordan has been pretty impressive what he's been able to put together the last few practices. We need to continue to grow each and every day. It's been promising. He's done a nice job. Jordan has shown a lot of growth in my eyes. So it's going to be the Jordan Love show for Green Bay on Friday night, and that may end up being a bet-on situation.
Moving to the Saturday, August 13th slate, 10 a.m. Pacific kick, starting us off here with a full day of action on Saturday for NFLX Week 1. We get the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chicago Bears kicking us off, Teddy. We're seeing Bears minus 3.5, home favorites 35 the total. You like it anything Soldier Field, Chiefs and Bears, Teddy?
I think there's a quadruple header on the NFL Network on Saturday.
Nice.
If you want, you can start watching football at 10 o'clock in the morning. And the late game doesn't kick off until 7 o'clock at night. So you can get a good 12 hours in watching NFL next Saturday, if that's how you choose to spend your day. I imagine I'll spend a fair bit of my day watching NFL preseason action. And look, for the Saturday games, for the Sunday games, I got quick hitters here. I went through last night and did a brief cursory look over all of these games, and I found Squadoodle. And if I find Squadoodle, game after game, it's like they haven't gotten the coach's quote yet, haven't gotten it yet. The lines haven't moved yet. If I don't have anything, I'm not gonna make something up to give you guys. So I'm saying there's been nothing but Bears money. Bears 3.5, 35. And when you look at the QB rotations for Chicago, Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian, and Nathan Peterman are the three QBs on the Bears roster. When it comes to Kansas City, we're talking about Mahomes, who's not going to get playing time. Henny, I don't think he'll get a whole lot. Shane Buechele, Dustin Crum. That's not a bet-on duo. Andy Reid, bet-on coach in the regular season. His teams go over the win total every year. When it comes to the preseason, Andy Reid has been a money loser over the course of his career. Lots and lots of money for Chicago in this game so far.
Teddy, next game up, 1-2-1, 1-2-2, also 10 a.m. Pacific kick. Carolina Panthers, Washington football team, -3 home favorites. The football team, 36.5 being the total. What do you like in Carolina, Washington, Teddy?
It's an interesting scenario because a lot of times the markets react to a quarterback competition like what the Panthers have with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. And that's not the case here. When you talk about P.J. Walker as a fourth-string quarterback to come in the fourth quarter against fourth-string defenders, that tends to be a positive situation, a bet-on situation. I'm surprised that the Panthers haven't taken any money, but look at the total here, 36.5, 37, as high a total as we've seen, and that has at least something to do with the fact that we're likely to see a whole lot of Taylor Heineke in the ball game. Wentz and Heineke, Wentz has got something to prove and show if he can run the offense, and Heineke is a guy who's been a starter for Washington in years past. So the markets are liking the Commanders in this one. Big favorites is 3 in August. In a Week 1 game, again, the regular season walkthrough, you're going to see some real point spreads. In a preseason Week 1 game, 3.5 tends to be as high as it goes. Baltimore was as high as 5 this year. The market has said even that's too high for an August football game.
Indianapolis, Buffalo up next, Teddy, as we head to 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific kicks. Saturday, August 13th, 34 being the total, -1.5 at most books. There is a -1 offshore. Get the Colts and the Bills, Teddy, in Buffalo. Liking anything here?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the QBs who are going to be in play here, Josh Allen, Case Keenum, Matt Barkley for Buffalo. For Indy, you got Matt Ryan with some, I don't know how much he's going to play, but Nick Foles, Sam Ehlinger, guys who have started regular season games. And then Jack Cohen, the kid out of Wisconsin, who, let's put it this way, he's not a guy I want my money on. He's not a guy who I want if the Colts are down by score and need someone to rally him back in the fourth quarter. I don't trust Cohen to be the guy. But again, total wise, this is one of one of the 34s as opposed to the 31s on paper. At least this is a decent QB rotation for both teams.
We get Seattle and Pittsburgh up next as we head to the night slate, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific here. 35 being the total. Steelers -3-point home favorites. So we get the Pittsburgh -3 here, Teddy. 35 being the total. Liking anything in the Steel City?
Yeah, and Tomlin's been one of these guys who, at times, not every year, but there have been times where he's shown some real bet on potential in the month of August. Again, that hasn't always been the case, but coming off a non-playoff season, look, this team went 3-1 in the preseason last year, won their opener. They won their opener in 2019. Remember, there was no preseason in 2020. They won their opener in 2018. They won their opener in 2017. And they've gone 3-1 straight up in each of the last 4 preseasons, which wasn't so much the case earlier in his career, and this line basically has done very, very little. At open 3, it's been sitting at 3. It's not moving off of 3. And again, even with no ties anymore in the preseason, the coaches still don't play for overtime. I don't even know if they remember that there's no ties. We saw one last August. But I think it was the Eagles who tied last August. So you tend to see the fourth quarter of these games where coaches do anything to avoid landing on the 3, a lot of 2-point conversions and the like. So I still look at 1.5 to 2.5 keyer numbers than 3 in August. It's not a game where I'm necessarily, you got to get in right now if you want to get the best of the number with Pittsburgh. For Seattle, certainly you're talking about Geno Smith, who's been taking the vast majority of the snaps with the first string. Drew Lock, once again, failing to make his presence felt. Jake Eason, the Seahawks third stringer, he's not a guy I'm excited about betting on either.
Heading to the City of Dreams up next for the Sunshine State Battle. Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Bucks here, Teddy. 7:30 Eastern slate for the kick. -1, -2, depending where you're shopping, with -1 in the hook available as well. That's the Dolphins as the short home favorite. 31.5 the total. Dolphins, Bucks, Teddy. Liking anything here?
Yeah, so the thought process here and why we've seen a little bit of Miami money. First, Miami's had a good camp. And there's a lot of talk about, a lot of buzz about the Dolphins right now. Not that there's not about Tampa, who's a legit Super Bowl contender, but Miami's getting more buzz than they normally do with a first-time head coach. Not like Todd Bowles is the first-year head coach in Tampa as well, but he's walking into a team that's Super Bowl ready. Another thing that we're seeing in terms of Tampa and why the money's coming against, yeah, sure, Brady and Gabbert 1-2 in the rotation, but it's going to be mostly Kyle Trask and Ryan Griffin in this one. For the Bucks, that's not necessarily a bet on duo, and there seems to be, the attention to detail has been there for Miami early on. Whether it's Tua, and the market certainly like Teddy Bridgewater. Don't know how much playing time Bridgewater is going to get, but he's at least part of the reason why the Dolphins have taken some money early against the Bucks. A pick'em now moving to Miami -1, and total's just been getting bet down. No one thinks Tampa's going to do anything offensively in this ballgame, and I don't disagree with that.
Teddy, next game up, heading to Houston. New Orleans versus Houston. Short trip here for the Saints. -1.5 point road favorites. 33.5 being the total. Saints and Texans. What are we thinking here, Teddy?
Yeah, I would say this game has gotten the least action of any preseason game. I mean, yeah. I haven't seen the markets move at any point this summer. I haven't seen the side move. I haven't seen the total move. I haven't seen anyone talking about this game. I've seen the info for this game. It's like a situation where it's like, it's being played, but from a hype standpoint, it's not much. Houston's quarterback room: Davis Mills, Kyle Allen, Jeff Driscoll, Kevin Hogan. That's not an awful room for August. As for the Saints, I don't know how much we're going to see famous Jameis in this ballgame or Andy Dalton. Might be a whole lot of Ian Book for New Orleans, which is perhaps a reason why they're not being favored by more in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Houston money, to be perfectly honest. Although Lovie Smith hasn't shown a whole lot of bet on in August, I'm not convinced that the Saints are bet on with this rotation either.
We get Dallas and Denver up next, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. A mile high here, Teddy. -2 or -2.5. Mostly 2 in the hooks now. That's Denver, the Broncos as the home favorite. 31 or 31.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, and this has been 2.5 all summer. We have seen a little bit of under, where the total was 33. Now we're looking at 31 and a half. When it comes to Mike McCarthy in August, well, let's just put it this way. 2 of the last preseasons the Cowboys have had, they haven't won a game. I see him with 1 point spread cover in the McCarthy era so far in August. So that may tell you what you want to know about Dallas and why, we're seeing Denver. Again, 2.5 is key here in August. The Cowboys QB room, Dak Prescott, I don't know how much he's going to get. Cooper Rush, Will Grier, Ben DiNucci. Grier and DiNucci is not a bad duo. Rush, Grier, and DiNucci is not a bad trio. That could offer some potential bet on for Dallas. I like the quarterback rotation. I just need a coach's quote to go along with it. For Denver, I don't know if we're going to see much. Don't expect to see much from Russell Wilson in this ballgame. Josh Johnson, Brett Ripien behind him. That's not a bet on QB duo.
Teddy, we got the nightcap up next, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, 133, 134. The battle for the City of Angels, LA Rams, LA Chargers. We're seeing Chargers -3.5, total of 30, Teddy. What are we thinking here, Rams and Chargers?
Yeah, this is one when it came, the first info I got, I'm like, I should bet the under here. It was still 32. And now it's 30 and juice to the under. Okay. And the Rams, 3.5 point dogs. There's 4s popping up against them. The Rams aren't playing anybody. This is a throwaway game for the defending Super Bowl champs. John Wolford, who had a starter too. I don't know how much he's going to play. There's going to be a lot of Bryce Perkins, I think, for LA behind center, and that's not and Bryce Perkins behind. And one thing with the Rams, as with any Super Bowl champs, depth issues in August. They don't have a whole lot of roster spots open. They don't get the better free agents, undrafted free agents. And you tend to see some of these teams that are top heavy, like LA, a team you want to be betting on in September, in August, not so much. And that may well be the case here with all the money coming for the Chargers. Oh, this is a meaningful game for the Chargers. There's a lot of hype on this team right now. Chase Daniel, Easton Stick, the second and third string quarterbacks, both of whom have starting experience. That at least part of the reason why the Chargers are taking money in this one.
We got one game left. It's Sunday, August 14th. Shout out to the chat box. Everybody joining us live. Feel free to fire away any questions, guys. We'll hit them before we end the show. We'll also answer any questions below in the reply section. And if you're watching on replay, feel free to ask any questions below. Let us know what you're looking to bet this week. All is welcome here. We'll answer them on next week's show. NFL opening line report, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Teddy covers Drew Martin breaking it down. We got Sunday, August 14th, Teddy. Just one game, one singled out game. Thinking a lot of tickets written, 4:25 Eastern, Minnesota and Las Vegas. We get the Raiders -3.5, 34 in the desert, Teddy.
Yeah, and of course, the Raiders playing their second game. They looked better than, I don't know if you guys watch the in-game interviews. All right. If you watch Josh McDaniels getting interviewed in-game, it was the first sideline interview they had with him. And at the time, the Raiders offense was roughshod up and down the field, just marching up and down the, they moved the ball all day. And McDaniels looked as surprised as anyone. He looked as surprised, he was like, I didn't expect to see this. It's a positive sign for the Raiders, but I'm not convinced that an offensive line that had a whole bunch of question marks coming in that just beat up on the Jags is going to look quite as good here against a Minnesota team that also is pretty strong up front defensively. But one thing Vegas has, man, they got the QB rotation that you want, whether it's Stidham, whether it's Mullins. Again, when your second stringer and third stringer both started NFL games and the offensive line is protecting them, like the Raiders OL did last week. Don't know if we'll play as well. It was a surprise to McDaniels, it was a surprise to me. Betting markets certainly showing a fair bit of support for the Raiders right now. Minnesota, going to be a lot of Sean Mannion, going to be a lot of Kellen Mond. That's not necessarily a bet on QB duo. There's a reason the Raiders are laying more than a field goal on this one.
I like it, Teddy. That's the slate, guys. Through Sunday here, we got the weekend slate going. We got questions here from last week in the reply section. Brent Hall, thanks for shouting out. Brent, question, did the NFL change their COVID policy this year? He saw Kyler Murray tested positive for COVID today. Teddy, one, what do you think about the policy? And two, how much are you factoring in kind of COVID overall this season compared to seasons past in the NFL?
So I think compared to the last 2 years, what we've seen for COVID, this year will likely be a lesser factor in terms of whole teams getting dealing with quarantine issues, et cetera, et cetera. And their NFL stadiums aren't requiring a proof of vaccination to go in. The NFL and the NFLPA announced that they've agreed to suspend all COVID-19 protocols. So how it plays out is going to be interesting. It's going to be different. As long as things are managed reasonably, the way they seem to be right now. Look, Murray's not going to play. The guys with COVID still aren't going to play. But the whole, you got to sit for 10 days in isolation, that's not likely to be the case in 2022. One could anticipate there will be fewer COVID distractions and shorter COVID absences than in each of the last 2 years.
Joe Leone asking in the chat box, shout out to Joe here, is the preseason a good time for teasers? ? I was thinking since the totals are so low, it would be beneficial. Good point, Joe. What do you think, Teddy?
So in theory, you are 100% correct. With low totals, each additional 6 points is worth a lot more because you don't get games in the 50s and 60s, so every point is worth something. That said, the hard numbers for NFL preseason football don't bear that out. All right. I talked with Ralph Michaels, who's like 60-something% of the games, of the preseason games are decided by more than a touchdown, and like 40% of them are decided by double digits. So it's not like the extra 6 points is making a difference in every single game. And the other issue with teasers in August, the key numbers aren't the same. It's real easy to say, hey, this 2.5 point underdog, I'm going to tease them up to 8.5. But in August, the only one you want to be teasing is a 1.5 up to 7.5. That's it. You're not going to find the favorites to tease down. You never want to tease across zero. You're giving the books a free point. So you're never taking a plus 2.5, to a minus 3.5 to a plus 2.5. I never tease across zero ever. It's not mathematically right to tease across zero. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I don't do it in August, personally. Teasers are at their best, Drew. Teasers are at their best when the market is most efficient. If every point spread's spot on, teasers are great because then the games are going to fall right around the number, or there's going to be a handful of games that fall right around the number. And when the odds makers and the betting markets are doing their job perfectly, that's great for teaser bettors. That's late September, October, November. That's when you know that the lines are right, the teams are powered correctly. You expect the games to be fairly tight ATS. That's the sweet spot. It's about a 12-week span from the end of September through the beginning of December.
I like it. That was well said. First off, the key numbers aren't the same, and are they really as key? And second, the volatility. There's more volatility in the NFL preseason, so therefore it takes away from the teasers.
And there's a third factor as well. Like when I'm making NFL preseason plays, I'm not putting together a card. As soon as I see the info Boom, I'm putting up one play. All right. When you're teasing, I'm putting up a play, I'm betting the play, I'm doing it all as I see it. When you're teasing, you got to have multiple games. Can't tease one game. So it's not always, you can put an open teaser in there. Some books let you do that. But I don't. I'm not a huge. I like to put my teasers together at the start, and this is a situation where it doesn't always. It's not always optimal for that. If you're just seeing the info and betting it. Whereas in the regular season, you're going to look at the card as a whole and you go, here's the key number I want to cross. There's the key number I want to cross. You can do your handicap for it in 5 minutes in that sense of which teasers you want to be looking at. In August, you can't do that.
We got Coin in the chat box asking a question here. Hearing positive news out of Indy camp regarding Matt Ryan, pace of play, accuracy. Does this change your opinion of the Colts win totals, division winner, Super Bowl? And would you look to bet them in the preseason, Teddy?
So Indy's a really interesting team because there's certainly a lot of upside with the Colts. And yet I wouldn't be shocked to see Indy finish as a 500 level team. When you're talking about one of the weakest and depth shy skill position, Jonathan Taylor gets hurt, they're dead. All right. Their receiving room is not pretty. All right. The offensive line's there. You have an aging QB who hasn't won in years. And for August, Ryan's not going to get a whole lot of playing time. I continue to look at Indy as a team that has, they're pretty good. I do not look at Indy as a legit Super Bowl contender, and I think they're lined right when it comes to the NFL win totals, being lined as an above 500 team, but not a really good team. I think the Colts are pretty good. Okay. If Matt Ryan lives up to expectations. And again, the reports are real good on Ryan so far, but it's August.
Teddy, how do you handicap home field advantage in the preseason? I mean, I'm thinking more players, just kind of the travel. Is it really as nice the stay where these teams are staying with all of those players? Seattle to Pittsburgh here. It seems kind of a difficult travel spot. How do you handicap travel in the preseason?
I mean, the home field's worth pretty close to zero. It might be worth a point. Now, there are definite spots and situations where the home field is worth more in August. Rookie head coaches don't like to go 0-3. Okay. You get a rookie head coach in a week 3 game at home against a team that doesn't care, and all of a sudden that home field's worth a field goal. Okay. Because that's a scenario where the coach is going to try to win one for the fans. The rookie head coaches, the team's off the bad season, and then off a preseason loss, the home field tends to be worth a little bit more. I say it's on a case-by-case basis. It's probably worth a little bit more in the regular season walkthrough when you have the starters on the field. But again, for most of these games, the home field, if you're giving it more than a point, you're probably giving it too much. And a lot of them I give a 0. Big fat 0. That's sort of the market. I mean, look, every line opens 1.5, 2, 2.5, 34. And then the markets say where they should move. It's not like the books are giving a whole lot of home field edge to these teams either.
Teddy, last one here. Limits in the preseason. There's a big difference, right, between regular season limits and preseason limits now?
Yeah.
What are the limits at some of these books?
In the regular season, you can bet as much in an NFL game as you want.
Right.
I mean, literally, you can bet as much as an NFL game as you want. And I wouldn't recommend people going nuts. But if you want to bet $100,000 on an NFL game, you can get it down. I've never done that. I hope I never do that. But you could if you wanted to, an NFL regular season game without too much trouble. In a preseason game, like I said earlier in the show, I'm like, they get one limit bet and they're moving the line 2 points sometimes in August. I mean, and your limits are like $1,000 at a lot of shops. 500, 2,000. It's not anywhere near what you're going to see in the regular season, which again speaks to the teaser question. When we're confident about the lines, the books limits are higher. When the books limits are higher, that's great for teaser bettors. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I explained that right. But,
I get it.
When the markets are willing to take bigger bets, when the market when the limits are higher, it means the markets are willing to take bigger bets. That it means they're more confident in their numbers, and that's for teaser bettors, you want a marketplace where the numbers are tight, not a marketplace where the numbers are all over the place. That's why we don't bet. One of the reasons why we don't bet teasers in college football, why we look exclusively to the NFL for the 6-point teasers, because you get to capture all those key numbers and you get to find these situations that work out, that are positive expectations.
Sure. And to add on to that, guys, the NFL regular season is like a more liquid market. They can take more bets on each side. There's more people interested in it. The preseason is a little bit, less liquid. So therefore, they're a little bit less confident they'll be able to get as much money on the other side before kickoff. So they kind of lower their limits that way. But I, to tell you the truth, Teddy, I've never really loaded up in the preseason. I don't know what the limits would actually be. I mean, could you get 10,000 down on a side for an NFL X game or no?
Probably not. It'd be real hard. Yeah.
It's like 2,000, right?
And again, I mean, one book's limits is not another book's limits. Okay, so I don't want to speak to everyone, but in an NFL, you can in an NFL regular season game, you get 10 get time bet at any one book. Okay, or most books, at many books, you can get 10 dimes down. In the preseason, good luck with that.
Yeah. I like it. Teddy covers, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1 at WagerTalk, net units of profit since February 10th. He's seeing it well, whether it be the diamond, whether it be football. Guys, check out his 5% big ticket plays as well. 17-3, 85%. His last 20, he's 42-15, 74% since May of 2021. And don't forget, if you haven't gotten his NFL season wins package, you need to check it out, guys. 94-44. That's just under 70% the last 20 years. Yes, that goes back 2 decades. It's not all front loaded either. In terms of sitting on these records, he has been good the last couple years as well. He's 15-3, over 80% on the 5% big tickets, which he's got one in the NFL season win total report. Check it out. Teddy covers experts page, WagerTalk.com. He's got the free plays up in both college football and the NFL, and it's $9 Monday. Teddy's in with a MLB $9 Monday best bet. I got one as well. Check out Drew Martin, WagerTalk.com. Teddy, I'll throw it over to you. What do you got for final thoughts? What are you thinking here, man, for next week's show?
We're going to do this. I mean, this is the format, guys. We're going to go through every game on the board every week. We're going to talk about where the lines open, where they're moving, where they're likely to move, and why they're likely to move. We're going to talk about what games you want to bet now, what games you can wait till later in the week. There's a side you're looking for, what you're targeting. There's a total you're looking for that you're targeting. We're trying to give you the best advice as to when to play these games, and talk about why the lines are moving where they are, because that is such a key factor for so many bettors. Why are the lines moving? Let's understand the thought process behind it. But we'll do it again next Monday and every Monday between now and the Super Bowl, Drew. Hope you're prepped and ready. Tanned and ready. I got the big smile on. Can't wait. Football has come. And again, we'll do it every week, every Monday, right here on WagerTalk TV. 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, and download the brand new WagerTalk TV app. It's awesome. It's cool. And this way you have the content right with you on your phone anytime you want to access it. It is free. Download, just search WagerTalk. You'll find the new WagerTalk TV app. We appreciate all the downloads. We appreciate all those 5-star reviews very, very much.
Smash that like button, guys. Feel free to comment below. Huge shout out to the chat box. Like always, best of luck with your bets. For Teddy Covers, I'm Drew Martin. We'll be back next week, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Come back and join us. Thanks for tuning in.
Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet On It, and the Opening Line Report. Plus, browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.